Welcome to the Sound of Movement podcast. Today we are continuing our week talking about program design and how we design our revolutionary unified movement system. Today's topic is all about why it's important to start the right way. A lot of people say, I need to fix this or fix that before I start the program.
Like Vasquez said in Aliens, let's rock, tribe. If you're new here, Rich is behind the mix. Rad is at the table with me, Yani Baumeister, and we are Unity Gym, experts at turning driven people into athletes. This episode is brought to you by the Unified Movement System, the only online program effectively balancing strength, flexibility, and fitness so you can unleash your inner athlete. Get daily coaching by us, plus our epic Foundations Prep program and revolutionary structural balance blueprint so you too can create your ideal programs and optimize your performance. We are running a wicked flash sale right now. This week you can join and get a lifetime discount, 50% off the regular price. Make sure you use the link in the description if you're on the podcast, YouTube, or wherever you're tuning in from. Before we get started, we do want to send a warm welcome. If you are listening on the live stream in the UMS Movement Mastermind Facebook group, leave a comment and we'll send you some love. Remember, anyone can join and interact. And lastly, massive shout out to our YouTube athletes catching the replay. Hit the like button, support the channel, subscribe if you like what you see. Okay, we are joined today by Phil White and Nalesh Murthy from ADPT Physio.
Wearing matching shirts.
Yeah, Louis,
you
got uniformed.
Yeah, we're getting pretty legit here at ADPT Physio. We've got matching shirts. So.
I even caught them at a cafe having a marketing meeting this morning. It is serious here.
Things are happening.
Big players, fiduciary, investing, podcast. All right, let's crack this thing open and see what we can find. We're spilling education today, and we hope to get everyone dirty.
Wow.
I don't know where I was going with that.
Neither do I, but I like splitting open there.
We're really going to dive deeper into a great conversation that we've had with a couple of tribe members from UMS Movement Mastermind group, and we're drilling down on why it's important to start right. I sent an email over the weekend about a big mistake we made when we started our business. We thought we knew everything and we'd just go it alone, and we knew a lot of great business owners, very successful people. We knew a lot of great business coaches who were all reaching out to try and give us some support. But as you do as an entrepreneur, you want to reinvent the wheel and do it all on your own. And by the time we actually realized we needed help, we were so far in debt, and our business was in so much trouble that we almost had to essentially close the doors to Unity Gym. And I've seen this done time and time again at the gym. I certainly did it myself. I joined a gym to put on some muscle mass when I was taking my boxing really seriously, and it was at my detriment that I trained with someone who just didn't know what they were doing, and we did bench press 5 days a week, and I really mucked around with my posture and actually really screwed my athletic performance, creating structural imbalances in my body, and eventually it led to essentially the end of my boxing career. I tore a tricep tendon so badly that it just took so long to heal that I gave up. And you know, I've seen this a lot with people that are trying to lose weight. You know, I'm sure we've all heard the notion, I'll lose a few pounds and then I'll join a gym. You know, and Rad had a comment. What was the comment? Can you read it?
Yeah, for sure.
Don't name any names.
It was on. It was on. Well, anyone can see it. It's a public comment. Really? I mean, it's on this exact same page. Anybody can see it. So Jamie has said on Tom Wood's post about his transformation, has said inspiring stuff, referring to Tom's post. Terrible hip shift here myself, and 20 years of pain and discomfort in both the hips and upper left back. I don't feel ready for UMS yet, but this post is another step towards it. Thanks for sharing. And it's it's upsetting for me to read a comment like that, but not abnormal. I've heard it so many times before. The classic one is, you know, I'm going to lose weight before I join the gym. And I get where it comes from. I get that it comes from, you know, saying here 20 years of pain and discomfort, and, you know, feeling like you've tried a lot of different things and they haven't worked, and you need to do something else before you can go to here. So I understand where it comes from. But I guess, yeah, you know, people don't understand the magic of our program and coaching with us. And, you know, Tom put this post up to talk about, I mean, he talks about, his 15 years of training before us with a lot of really well-known programs that didn't achieve the result that he achieved with us in 18 months. And so, yeah, it's, you know, I wish that people would just give it a try and see how it goes.
I want to jump in because the idea of starting right being critical to your longevity and your long-term journey is it goes far beyond just doing something like our coaching. I mean, I'm sure you guys in the physio world would see people come to you with injuries that you just go, man, like, why did you wait so long? Or why did it take so long to ask for help? You know, because everyone... You know, we got Dr. Google now, which is a great. Yeah, there's great resources, and you can figure things out. But we were talking off camera before we started about a colleague of yours who did a podcast, and I really love that.
Yes, it wasn't a colleague of mine, but it was a podcast I was listening to, where it was a quote from Phil Glasgow, who's like the Irish team physio for the rugby, and he used to be the team GB like head physio, and basically his quote was that. Rehab is training in the presence of injury. So it's not some totally different magical thing that, heals the body. It's just understanding the different loading parameters that we can change to keep training, keep moving towards the goal while addressing the injury.
Yeah. So I like what you said. You know, when we get an injury, it's kind of like we put ourselves in the naughty corner. Yeah. You know, because I mean, you deal with elite level athletes every week. Surely you guys don't throw them in the naughty corner.
No. I think in the sporting world, the rehab and full training or performance, it's all in the one notion where if you've got a shoulder injury, you're still lifting with the main squad. You've just got modifications around you, and you're doing a rehab, prehab, and performance program. In the everyday world, the notion's broken up into I'm injured, I can't do anything till I fix this, and I'm not injured. And I'll do everything till I get injured. Yeah. Where ultimately we probably want to, like Phil's highlighted, put it all together.
Yep.
And that's where it leads to our topic. You know, it's important to get it right at the start, get a plan. Yep. And like we do in sport, we've got, grateful we've got multiple staff with different facets of it, but you need a plan from the start. You want to nip it in the bud straight away and actually start addressing those different strength, movement issues straight away.
Because both ends of the spectrum are wrong, right? Taking time off, and we've spoken about this a lot on the podcast, unless there's like a bone fracture or an open wound that needs to stitch up and heal and you don't want to tear it apart, taking time off is usually one of the worst things you can do, especially if you've got a high baseline already, because you immediately start to lose strength in all of the fundamental movements. But then ignoring the issue and just persevering at the rate that you are, at the load that you were doing before, is also probably as bad. I wouldn't even say worse. I think they're both pretty bad.
Yeah.
You know?
It just sets them up to fail. Like I've got a good example. I've obviously had again, no names mentioned, a patient come through the years. Doctor said, don't do anything for 3 months. Your knee will heal itself.
Good Lord.
Happy days. Yeah. Perfect. His knee healed. He went for his first run and saw the doctor. Doctor's like, yep, go run now.
Yeah.
Ran. Guess what? He's in a physio within a week. So if you had a plan from the start, was okay, cool. You don't do anything on your knee, but you can strengthen your calves. You can bulletproof your quads. You can bulletproof your hamstrings. Yeah. Get your hip mobility. And then they had a plan to when he starts running, he's built a good framework.
And in the meantime, your upper body exists. Like that's
exactly
thing.
Right.
That's a thing.
And the problem is that, like, I mean, people don't understand this stuff, right? Like, I didn't even understand it before I did my shoulder injury, and I was talking to you, Phil, and the concept of it. I still took that, like, that was only a couple of years ago where I took a month off training because I got a shoulder injury. Yeah. But now that I understand it, it just makes so much more sense. But I definitely didn't do nothing for a month. I just modified my training, but it was like I took a month off the things that, were aggravating my shoulder. But I know even better now. But
it's just so common that people will come in and they sort of think like, I've just taken time off where I'm like resting and I'm doing some stretching and I'm and then they come into a physio and like they're like, I've already ticked off all that. So, well, I didn't want you to do that. Like I wanted you to start from the get-go, putting a plan in place, knowing what to expect, understanding that, like the idea of a prognosis, so basically like what to expect over the course of your injury and how to get back to what you want to do. Like that's so key to set from the beginning, not 3 months later when you've sort of deconditioned everything.
Then they get frustrated. Oh, but doctor said I could start running now. Why can't I start running? I've failed my rehab. And you've obviously not set yourself up to win there.
Yeah. No, I want to go into the psychology around this because I think it's a certain psychology that makes people react in such an incorrect way, whether it's to take time away or whether it's to just ignore it and just keep smashing yourself. And I'm just going to quickly read out a passage here. It's great because Tom, who we did the whole show about yesterday, about his random testimonial that popped up on the UMS Movement Mastermind, which I ended up sending out in an email yesterday because I was so impressed. He's jumped in and commented. I love that there's just under a year and a half between photos. I just wanted to say nobody asked me to post it. I did it to let people know you don't have to live in constant pain. You can retrain your body and get back to what you lost. You are not broken. I love that, Phil, referring to something that we said yesterday when Phil pulled up the language that we're using to describe ourselves if we're injured as a broken or a compromised human. I saw myself as broken for years, and it's a dark path to go down, full of anger and resentment, and nothing good can come of it from this way of thinking. What I wanted people to see was, referring to his post, that you don't have to struggle. You don't have to pop pills to control pain or try every program under the sun, hoping that this time it will be the one that lets you become the person you once were. You also don't have to beat your body up to get results. I wanted people to see that UMS really works. It retrains your body to move correctly and sorts out imbalances. You guys really know your stuff, genuinely care about, and the rest is just basically big noting us, so I don't need to read that, or do I? But the emphasis I want to put here is that Tom started right. He started by doing our general preparations program. We call it our foundations program. We call it building a solid foundation. And, part of building a solid foundation for us is getting the psychology right from the very start. And we call it, finding your burning desire, why you're training, drilling down on that, and then building a fitness strategy around that, and then identifying daily behaviors. Then the second step to building your foundation is to create a really healthy, sustainable exercise habit that is balancing your body, that's approached right, with the right guidance, with the right program, with the right structure, and the right frequency, intensity, and of course volume and load management. And then learning to nourish your body so that you're doing everything on the inside that's supporting all of this now, because it's one thing to get really motivated and get a burning desire and go out and hammer and tongs at it and then even create a really great exercise habit. But if you're not nourishing your body and you're still yo-yo dieting and you're starving yourself or you're eating shit, then, sorry, there's the explicit podcast tag.
I don't have to apologise to Phil anymore.
Yeah, it's Richard. Yeah, there you go.
I'm out.
Yeah, if you're not nourishing your body, if you're not learning how to nourish your body instead of just diet, then you're just beating yourself up in another way. You got to get all that right as well. And that's what we call our foundation. It's not just doing the foundations program. The foundations program is one element of that, learning to exercise right, But this is really important. It's really important to get the start right. And it's just such a shame. And I've been a victim of it myself. I'm sure many of the listeners have, of thinking, no, I'm going to do it on my own first. And then maybe if I need help later, I'll find help. You just don't prioritize good coaching or good guidance from a good physiotherapist,
and
at the start.
For the person who's commented that Rad read out was Jamie, he said, he's kind of too injured to get started. Well, I think the kind of, part of this problem is that people have sort of just the culture over the years has sort of decided that the thing that rehabs people is rest, stretching, and zappy things done to the body. For some reason, those are the things that people have just associated with healing the body, when really a exercise program that is going to build that structural balance, it's got the right sort of on ramping of loading parameters, those are the things that provide the optimal sort of thing for healing, environment for healing. But for some reason, just over the years of kind of guruism, I think in healers and
medicine. And I was reading a journal this week, and it's only just a generation or two ago where they used to think that if you were sick, you would cut lots of incisions in the body and let the sickness bleed out of you. And 9 out of 10 people that did this therapy died. This was only literally 2 people ago that they were still doing that as mainstream medicine. So
it's thankfully understanding has changed.
We've moved on from the incision therapy,
away from that, and it is really a challenging thing in the physio space about what has the best outcomes. And often, you look at like exercise versus, I don't know, acupuncture versus whatever, and treatment effects are often quite small, and it's often not that different compared to a lot of other things, but the side effects of exercise are so good.
The long-term outcomes of exercise are so good.
There's nothing better.
Seeing a physio, and our professions, this is gonna rattle some things here, but our profession's really good at creating reliance on us.
Yep.
But you're not going to see us every week forever. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And our profession's really good at doing that. But like Phil's highlighted, exercise, great long-term outcomes. Seeing a physio just helps you set a plan up, or a guided plan for exercise, not for zappy things.
Zappy things. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, if you've got all the other, if you've got your exercise right, if you've got your diet right, if you've got all the other parts of the hierarchy right, then try some zappy things. But don't only try zappy things.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say.
I want to send some love quickly to a couple of guys commenting in the UMS Movement Mastermind. Grace Clements, good morning. The guys were just talking about you, I think, this morning.
And to your online coaching.
And we got
soon.
Craig Jenkins here commenting. I have to admit, I felt broken a few years back again with the language. Was just telling people yesterday how strong I feel now. My lower back is no longer feeling shattered. It feels so incredibly strong and stable, better than it has ever been. But I never stopped doing something in terms of exercise. Was doing the UMS though through it all. He's actually said FMS there, which was our old name, Foundation Movement System. Now we call it the Unified Movement System, Unification of Strength, Flexibility and Fitness. It's fantastic, Craig. And I want to, I want you to even take it upon yourself to flip the switch on the language you use to describe your past. Instead of saying I no longer feel shattered or I was broken, say I was working through some issues in my body, in the past or a year ago or whatever. The way you frame that language is so important, and it is something that you have to really think about. As you become conscious of, and I still do it myself, but I pull myself up often and say, hang on, don't say it like that.
That's right. Use the zappy things to zap them when they say the.
Yeah, that's right. Phil's always here to pull us up, he's saying, sorry, the Foundation's program, bro. Look, it's a whole psychology that you start to change around training, and that's why I think the Unified Movement System is just, so good, because it's yes, we have our little rehab modules and things like that, but honestly, guys, the rehab modules are designed for people who aren't training in the Unified Movement System, or for very special occasions where we want to really wind things back and scale a movement on a day down and interchange one of those rehab blocks. But we would never stop someone from doing the rest of the program, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, for sure. It's funny because I get that, if you're a punter and you're listening to these podcasts, or you're watching it, and maybe you've only known about us for 3 weeks or 3 months or even 3 years, but where the Foundations program came from, it's come from 17 years of Yani and I being personal trainers and writing so many different programs for so many different people and working with so many physios and doing so many, I've lost the count of how many workshops we did with really, really knowledgeable people teaching us how to write programs and the reasons behind it and the science behind it. And
science backed.
It's science backed. And we got to this point where the people that we were training, the majority of them, if we didn't do this foundational 3-phase program, they ended up running into problems. And the people that chose to do it, because we used to give people a choice, and then we went to a point where we stopped letting people choose. We basically just said to everyone, you're doing this program to start with, because we've just found that most people get injured otherwise if they don't do it. And so, this is why people like Tom and Craig are writing these testimonials, are saying how amazing they felt, because there's so much invested research and trial and error on Yani and my and even Richard's behalf here to get it to the point. And then those rehab programs were always people were asking us these questions. How do I fix this? How do I fix that? And Yani and I just kind of got a little bit tired of saying, do the foundations program. And people were saying, oh, but I'm not ready for that. I just need to fix this injury. So we just caved in one day and said, all right, well, let's create a program that's specific for knee rehab if that's what you want. But it really is, that's what they're for. They're there for people that aren't ready to jump in and commit to it. The foundations program, which is where you start with the UMS. The UMS has foundations and progressions and a couple of other programs in there as well. But yeah, they're just so effective. They really are. They really are. And it is rare that people don't come into that program with issues and don't come out of it saying, I've never felt better. It's rare that happens.
Yeah. So for someone who is in the kind of situation like Jamie's saying, he's kind of not quite, doesn't feel ready because he has to sort some injuries out. I think the key thing to kind of know is like the time to go and see a physio is if you basically don't know what's happening. Like if you're not sure what's happening with your body and you're not sure why you're getting pain and you don't know about what the right things to do are, that's certainly a good time to go and see a professional about getting, a diagnosis and that prognosis as well.
I've got something to throw in there.
Do you?
Because you didn't read the big comments that he said. He actually lives in Brazil. He's from the UK, but he lives in Brazil and he lives in rural Brazil. And he said that getting access to those quality types of physios in rural Brazil, he said, is just impossible. So he's going to go and find in his own words, something like a really top-notch physio to do an online consult with in the UK. And I said to him,
if only there was some kind
of... If only there was, I said to him, I'm sitting right next to two top-notch physios that do online coaching. And because he also said something along the lines of, maybe I can get them to understand the program a bit and give me some guidance. Jamie, if you're listening to this, don't
be, Jamie.
Go book an online consult with either Phil or Nalesh, because not only are they two of the best physios that I've ever worked with, but they know the UMS inside out, and they will be able to tell you exactly what you should and shouldn't be doing and what you need to modify. So do yourself a favor and go to adpt.physio. And,
during my short time here, we've had X amount of members sign on, and they've obviously come and seen myself or Phil. We've been able to assess and see where the deficiencies are, what needs to be addressed, and they've went into the program no issues, because we just put in regressions or progressions or little accessory lifts within a squat.
Yep.
A single leg bridge, for an example, or a dead bug or a powerlift press to address stability or rehab, as you want to call it. So yes, we can always tweak around to make sure it fits within your injury or what you need.
Yeah.
And I think people forget, because it's a set program, I've got to squat at the end. There's how many variations? There's about 15 variations of a squat.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what this rehab is, training in the presence of injury. So it's training. It's still doing the same thing. Your body doesn't suddenly know when you're doing a 4-point cat cow that suddenly you're doing a magical rehab exercise that's going to heal you more than any other thing. Like it's all about just getting that right sort of level of complexity with movement and the right levels of range, how much tempo, time on attention, total load, and that's getting those parameters right is what is going to rehab an injury. It's not some magical exercise that you're doing that is deemed a rehab exercise. Therefore,
and this is what good physio should look like for all of our listeners. Good physios should be doing what Nalesh and Phil are saying. But the problem is that for most physios, you pay them for an hour. You get an hour worth of their time. You can't expect any professional that if you pay them for an hour to also do an hour of research into what it is that you're doing outside of that hour that they're paying you for. That's just not realistic. That's not how people make money, and it's not how service is done. So if you say to somebody, hey, listen, I'm doing this program, what can I do? For another physio, you're basically saying to them, look, can I pay you for another hour to have a look at my whole program and figure out whether I can keep doing it and what I should regress or progress? And this is why the marriage of these guys with the UMS is so beneficial to those of you like Jamie who are struggling with injury, because you can really get some top-notch physio guidance, and they're going to just say exactly how it's going to bolt into a really good proven program. And this is how this partnership between us came about. It wasn't that Yani and I said, oh, we need a physio in our gym, let's get a physio. It was that we knew Phil, we knew how good he was, we knew how much he cared, and when he expressed interest in coming to work with us, this is how this relationship was created. And same thing with Nalesh. It was, through a mutual friend. So it's a really good opportunity for those of you that are, if you're sitting there thinking to yourself, I am injured, I don't know where I should start or how I should get started. Get started with the UMS Foundations program. And if you feel like, no, I'm not ready, but God, see these guys. Don't go looking somewhere else. See these guys.
The Unity gym members could have had like a sauna room in that room, but snuck in there.
That's right. They could. Right. We were going to get an infrared sauna in there, but
and Craig Jenkins is coming out with the goods today, mate. I'll send you checks in the mail, by the way. Yeah. He's saying, yes, Phil fixed my shoulder issue with an online call. Didn't even have to touch me. Lol. The guys know their stuff. Look. It is absolutely true. But really, I just want to quickly spin the wheels into reverse and get back to the key message here, that the start of your journey is the critical point. That is going to build your foundation. And you generally either get it right or you get it wrong. And when you get it wrong, you end up really getting bum steered to try and make up for either lost time or to get yourself back on track. And I just want to try and save you guys all some really frustrating and wasted time by focusing on getting the start right. And if that means that you need to have a physio consult because you've got a few things that you're working through, by all means, go for it. Lock it in, book it in, get it done. If it means that you just need to start a good program, then do that first. Don't go, I'm going to see what I can figure out on my own. It's your body. It's the vehicle that you're stuck with for the rest of your life. You cannot trade it in. You cannot trade it up. You cannot trade it down. And you certainly can't sell it to a wreckers and then go and use that money to build a new one. It is the vehicle that you are stuck with for the rest of your life. So for God's sake, give it the love it deserves. I can't stand. I'm an engineer by trade, and I used to fix people's Ferraris. And I just used to watch these decrepit old men limp into the workshop, throwing tens of thousands of dollars at their fucking Ferrari. And I'd go, when's the last time you went for a walk, mate? Or a run or a gym sesh, put some work into your body. So do it.
Shots fired.
Shots fired. Mate, I've got my machine gun out. I'm ready to spray.
We better
we are just about we are just about to jump over to the UMS online coaching group for our daily group coaching call. If you haven't joined yet, what are you doing? You've got a 50% discount code in the description of this video. It ends this Friday. We have a lot of new people to welcome. They're going to be crushing their goals. Are you going to be with them? Let's go. I'm going to smash the like button. Smash the like button if you like that.
There's that machine gun. All right. See you guys tomorrow.
All right, guys. See you tomorrow. Health is about performance, not just body image.
You better be willing to accept what you're going to have to do to get there.
We'll start focusing on movement goals, strength goals, flexibility goals.
When you nail that skill, it's there forever.
The body image goal doesn't get you that far.
It's the consistency and frequency that's going to get you there. It's not the intensity.
There's no shortcuts to mastery and movement. Destination doesn't change overnight, but your direction will.
The gym is not the place to beat up the body that you hate. It's the place to build the body that you love.
We are the gym that teaches people how to move instead of just exercise, because we believe that health is about performance, not just body image.